Hey guys, welcome to the 2A.2. So our second video for Target A. It is Mrs. Payne. Our master learning objective for this video is I can identify key features of a quadratic function by using technology. Okay, so we're going to be looking at some key features. One key feature, or I guess two key features we already know. Remember we learned our vertex form yesterday. Okay, so we can find our vertex as a big key feature. We also have this form here, which is standard form. Okay, and this is how you find the vertex. We're never going to worry about that too much. We'll usually use the vertex form, or we'll use a calculator, a graphing calculator, to find that. Okay. The other things we learned yesterday was, remember, if it's positive, so if it's greater than 0, it opens up, it looks like a smile. That means it has a minimum, and we'll look more at this later. If A is less than 0, it's negative. It opens down, looks like a frown. It has a maximum. Okay, so we can kind of draw those, right? If it looks like a smile, this vertex is the lowest point, we call it a minimum. If it looks like a frown, our vertex is the highest point, it's the maximum. Okay. Our x-intercepts are where the graph hits the x-axis. You can see them here. Draw. Right here and here, where it hits this axis. We will sometimes talk about the y-intercepts. I don't know what the computer's doing today, guys. I apologize. We will also talk sometimes about the y-intercept, right? Where it hits the y-axis. And then domain are your x values, how far right and how far left and right the graph goes. Okay, so if I look here, my graph is going forever this way and forever this way. So in most cases, or in all cases, our graph will go forever to the left and forever to the right. And we'll look how to write that. For the range of the y values, how high and low the graph goes, well, you can see we have a lowest point here, so it starts there, and it will keep going all the way up. All right, so let's look at how we find some of these things. So this first one is just a graph. Okay, and I'm going to kind of jump around. I'm going to start with our vertex. Our vertex, again, is the highest or lowest point. So let's draw it. Okay, so it's right there. Where am I? I'm right 2, up 1. So our vertex is 2, 1. Okay. Is this a max or a min? Where is this point our highest or our lowest point? It's our highest, and therefore it's a maximum. And then I'm going to skip up to this question. What's the sign of the leading coefficient? Again, it looks like a frowny face. Okay, so it's negative. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to put a line straight down my vertex. Okay, this cuts my graph in half. Half of our graph will be increasing, half of our graph will be decreasing. So I'm going to look at the, decide which graph is increasing and which graph is decreasing. We always read left to right, just like we read a book. So if I look at the left half, left to right, I'm going to follow this. This is going up. Okay, it's increasing. Where do we start increasing? Well, over here is negative infinity, over here is infinity, if you look at your x-axis. Okay, so it is increasing from negative infinity, less than or equal to x. Where does it stop increasing? Right, We're always looking at where our vertex is, and our vertex is right there at 2. It's less than or equal than 2. Another way to write this is just to use parentheses. We call this interval notation. It's not the point negative infinity to. This is saying from negative infinity till 2. Now if I look at the other half of my graph, again, read left to right, this is the side that's decreasing. I'm starting here and falling down. This one starts at 2, which is less than x, and it goes to infinity. Again, I can write that as 2, comma, infinity in parentheses. Okay? Alright, the next thing I'm going to look at is my x-intercepts. Where does x cross this axis? Okay, it crosses it here and here. That is at, I moved over 1, 0, and 3, 0. Okay. What is our y-intercept? I believe it crosses right there. I have a lot of lines. So that is, we have to switch. Right now I'm not moving left or right, I'm only moving down. So it's 0, negative 3. Okay? Those are just those points. Then looking at our domain, how far left and right does it go? Okay? Well, remember, this graph is going to keep going on forever, left and right. As we wrote here, negative infinity, right forever is infinity. So, negative infinity less than x, which is less than infinity. The other way to write that is an interval notation, negative infinity to infinity. Okay? Now let's look at our range. Our range is bottom to top. These are going down. Down would be negative infinity, less than y, which is less than, it goes till up here, right? This is where it stops, 1. Okay? So that would be negative infinity till 1. Alright, and now I have filled in all my information about this graph. Alright, go ahead and on to the next page. Let's look at our next graph. Starting with our vertex. Remember, our vertex is the highest or lowest point. It is over 1, 2, 3, down 1. Our vertex is at 3, negative 1. Is that a max or a min? It's the lowest point. It's a min. And then is it opening up, right, the sign of the leading coefficient, right? It looks like a smile, so it's positive. Increasing or decreasing. Remember, we split our graph in half, right, at the vertex. So negative infinity. This is 3 to infinity, okay? I'm going to look at the left half first. Again, reading left to right. If I draw it, I am dropping down. So that's decreasing. So negative infinity less than x, which is less than 3. We can also write this as negative infinity to 3 in interval notation. The right side, I'm starting, they are going up. Again, reading left to right, 3 to infinity. So 3 less than x, which is less than infinity. Again, I can write it in interval notation. 3 to infinity. The next thing is my x-intercepts. Where does it cross the x-axis? Here's my x-axis. Crosses here and here. That is 2, 0, and 4, 0. If you notice, we have no place for y-intercept because I cannot see where it crosses the y-axis. All right, looking at the domain. Again, this is going to go on forever in both directions. I'm going to go from this side of the graph all the way to this side of the graph. Remember, that's negative infinity to infinity. So negative infinity, that's an x, less than infinity. Again, in interval notation, that's negative infinity to infinity. Our range, bottom to top. So how far down? This is the lowest point of my graph, but my graph is going up forever. Going up is infinity. Okay? So the lowest point is -1, less than up and down is y, to infinity. In interval notation, that's -1 to infinity. All right, looking at number 3, starting with just an equation instead of looking at a graph. The important thing about these ones is you need a calculator. You will definitely need a calculator. So go ahead and pause the video and either grab a calculator or open up the TI Inspire on your laptop so that you can follow along. Alright, looking at number 3, f of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 4. I'm going to write the directions for what we do along this side. Step 1, we're going to open a new document. Okay? So on our calculator, how we do that is, from the home screen, we open a new document. Okay? Sometimes they'll ask you if you want to save. We never save. So just click no. And we're going to actually add a graph. Sometimes my calculator likes to decide to stop. So that's number 2, add graph. Our third step is type in equation. So this equation is f of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 4. So, oops, I don't want to do that. Just type x squared x squared, sorry, plus 5x plus 4. So I'm going to type it instead. X squared plus 5x plus 4. I'm going to hit enter. Here is my lovely graph. With this graph, I need to know 2 things. I need to know my vertex and my x-intercept. I moved my graph, sorry. X squared plus. Sorry, the touch screen will move it. 5x plus 4, okay? So my vertex. In order to find my vertex, what I'm going to do is, it's under menu, and then 6, which is analyze graph, and then it's either 3 or 2, okay? What do I mean by either 3 or 2? Menu, 6, analyze graph. One is a min, one is a max, okay? So depending on whether you have a min or a max, you'll choose one of those. This one has a minimum, so I'm going to choose minimum. I need to move to the left of the minimum and click enter. It's already to the left, and then I need to move to the right. See how it's creating this nice shaded in area? My min needs to fall between that area, and I can press enter, and my number pops up. Okay? So my vertex here is negative 2, 5, negative 2.25. So vertex, negative 2.5, negative 2.5. The second thing I want to find are my x-intercepts. I can just look where it crosses these lines. You can see I have one at negative 1 and one at negative 1, 2, 3, negative 4. Okay, so I'm just reading those tick marks. So our x-intercepts are, like we said, negative 1, 0, and negative 4, 0. Finding my y-intercept, again, I'm just going to look where it crosses through the y-axis. That's up 1, 2, 3, 4. That's at 0, 4. Okay. Now that I have these points, I'm going to just graph it underneath my equation. Okay, I'm going to graph, I'm going to put in just a few tick marks. So I'm going to negative 2. So my vertex is at negative 2.5, negative 2.25. So 1, 2.5, about negative 2, and a little bit more. My vertex is about there. Okay. Alright, then I'm going to put in my other points. Negative 1, 0, negative 4, 0, negative 1, 0, negative 2, 3, 4, 0. And then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. From there, I'm just going to connect all my points, just like my graph does. Remember, this one looks like a smile. So I'm just going to draw that on my own paper. Now I can find the rest of my stuff just from what I drew, just like before. So, is it a max or a min? This one is a min. Again, it looks like a smile, so it's positive. Happy, right? Remember, for increasing or decreasing, I draw that line down the middle. This was at negative 2.5. Right? That's where this line is. Over here is negative infinity. Over here is infinity. We're always reading left to right. So looking at the left side, I'm moving down. That's my decreasing side. So that's negative infinity less than x, which is less than negative 2.5. The other way to write it in the interval notation is negative infinity to negative 2.5. The left side is going, or sorry, the right side is going up, right? If I leave left to right, I'm going up here. I'm starting at negative 2.5 is less than x, which is less than infinity. So that's negative 2.5 to infinity. Then our domain. Our domain is this whole x-axis, right? My graph is going to keep moving on. So my domain is the whole thing. Negative infinity less than x, which is less than infinity. The other way we can write it is just negative infinity to infinity. My range, again, I can draw another line through my vertex and be like, okay, this is negative 2.25. This is down here. It's negative infinity. This is infinity. Again, we're always reading bottom to top this way. Where's my graph? Is my graph between these two or these two? So look, my graph is between these two. Negative 2.25 to infinity. So negative 2.25 less than or equal to y, which is less than infinity. So I have negative 2.25 to infinity. Right, I know this is a long video, but we have one last example. We're doing just the same thing. Okay? So in my calculator, I'm going to go back. I'm going to open a new document. No, I don't want to save. I want to add a graph. This new graph was x squared minus 2x. First thing I'm going to do is find that vertex. Menu, fix, analyze graph. And then is this a minimum or a maximum? Right, this one has a minimum. So this looks like a smile. So you can move to the left, hit enter. Move to the right, hit enter. There is my vertex. My vertex is at 1, -1. Where are my x-intercepts? My x-intercepts are at right here, which is 0, and here, which is 2. So my x-intercepts are at 0 and 2. So 0, 0. So I'm just going to graph this quickly. Tick mark. So my vertex is at 1, -1, right 1, down 1. There's my vertex. And my x-intercepts are at 0, 0, and 1, 2, 0. And I'm just going to draw my graph. It looks like a smile. And I can start answering these questions. The sign of the leading coefficient is positive. And it's happy. It looks like a smiley face. Okay, I'm going to draw that line to do increasing or decreasing. And we'll go from -infinity. That line is at 1 to infinity. Reading left to right. This side is dropping down. So it's going from -infinity to 1 is where it's decreasing because it's dropping down. -infinity is less than x, which is less than 1. Or I can write it as -infinity to 1. This side is going up. It's increasing. 1 to infinity. 1 is less than x, which is less than infinity. 1 to infinity. Domain, as usual, our domain is going across this whole thing. My graph never stops. So -infinity to infinity. For my range, again, we're going to look at our vertex. Our vertex is at -1. Down here is -infinity. Up here is infinity. We read bottom to top. Looking at which chunk my graph is actually in, is it between these two or is it between these two? It is between these two. It's between -1 and infinity. Then, does this have a max or a min? It has a min, that low point. Alright, again, sorry that this video was so long, but there was a lot to fit in. Go ahead and work on activity A2.